Welcome to 3 and Out with Jason and Kevin. I am Jason. That is Kevin. We are brought to you by CincyJungle.com, SB Nation's Cincinnati Bengals website, and we are on YouTube's Orange and Black Insider, and we are now on the Believe network of shows, which is BLEAV, and we are a proud member of Believe in Cincy.
That's our RSS. Update
that's our
it,
RSS
people,
feed. Check it out.
can.
Yes, sir. So it's not just us, Kevin and I. It is Anthony Cosenza and John Sheeran on OBI. It's Matt Minich and it's Willie Parker. Not Willie Parker, sorry. That's a former running back. Willie Lutz. Yes. Matt Minich and Willie Lutz on Matt and Willie No Ball, which is formerly Chalk Talk, and Bengal Jim and Friends, talking football with Bengal Jim and Friends. So it's good Bengals content every single day. Subscribe, like, follow, the whole 9 yards. And we appreciate it. So today, Kevin, how you doing, man?
Doing all right. I'm on a little mini vacation. We're doing a big cruise next year, so we're saving up money, not going anywhere this year. So I burnt some vacation time. So we're just doing a little staycation. Went to the zoo today with the family.
Nothing wrong with a staycation. And Cincinnati, we're lucky in Cincinnati. I mean, really, not only do we have the Bengals, I think Cincinnati Zoo's like constantly rated top 2 or 3 zoos in the country. I think it was number 1 for a little while, maybe with. I think they go back and forth. Either way, I know it's a highly rated zoo.
Yes.
So, yeah, exciting.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea of it. Yesterday, I went to Kings Island. Today, went to the zoo. Tomorrow's taking a break, but then we're going to head to the museum the following day. Just kind of checking out the area, the stuff we don't make time for normally. It's fun.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff.
Got a new like open kangaroo exhibit. That's wild. You just walk in and you're just like, you could they yell at you if you try, but you can just reach out and touch a kangaroo. They're just hopping all around you. It is wild. I did not know what to make of it when I first stepped foot in there. It's not what I was expecting, but very, very cool.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you know that they yell at you when you try to touch them from experience?
No.
Okay.
But they did yell at somebody like the moment I walked in. Somebody was going over like intent on petting a kangaroo, and they got like 5 or 6 people in a pretty small space.
Yeah.
Just because they're trying to constantly head off people, trying to do that exact thing, I imagine. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. So the plan today is we are going to give our prediction on the way too early 53-man roster. I say way too early. A lot of these came out a few weeks ago. It's not as early. I do anticipate the Bengals maybe sign. What do you think? Maybe sign one guy for depth at a certain, maybe interior offensive line depth, cornerback depth could be an issue.
I can see running back as well.
Yeah, running back possibly. So I do think that there could be a free agent or two to sign. But I believe, and I know you believe, that we could probably boil down the 53-man roster mostly with the guys in the building. So
I can give you 53, and I can guarantee 52 of them will be correct.
So you're saying
there's one flyer in there, right? They're gonna somebody's not gonna make it. They're gonna sign somebody. Something.
Nice. So
but I do think I'm mostly correct.
You're a lot more confident than me because so you're saying 53 plus or minus 1. I'm saying I could do 53 plus or minus like 4. I think that are on the bubble. But hey, you got more. Good for you, man. Good to you. So what do you want to start? I think we should start at the one that we don't really need to talk about, which is quarterback. Correct?
Yes. Sure.
So obviously Joe Burrow. Look, we have the little ticker. For those watching, we have the little ticker. Joe Burrow, obviously, is on the team. He could not show up until he absolutely needs to, and he's still QB1. Doesn't matter. And then Jake Browning stepped in last year when Burrow got hurt, and he did a really good job. Kept him relevant in the playoffs for a while. For most of his time, I think it was really just relevant, or they were out of it. I think in week 17. So, good for him. So that's 2. I'm assuming no notes, correct?
No notes. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. We're gonna run with 2, and that's it.
What position you want to go to next?
Wide receiver. I think that's the most obvious one.
All right, so you start off. I think that it's clear to say that there are some of them we don't like. Again, Jamar Chase, right?
Yep.
T. Higgins going to be on the team. Why don't you go with the rest of yours?
Oh, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Jermaine Burton, Trent Irwin, Yoshi, and Charlie Jones. I actually think that if we're talking like outside prospects, Cole Burgess, I think, would have a chance if we hadn't signed Mike Gesicki. but he's kind of going to be taking that spot of, it's always the debate. Are the Bengals going to run with 6 or 7 wide receivers? No, they're going to run with 6.5. And
there you go.
One of them just happens to be a tight end.
Yeah.
So
one of them
that's
has to be
list. That's your 6.
Right. One of them happens to be a tight end in name only. I have the same 6. I have Jamar, I have T, I have Jermaine Burton, I have Yoshi, I have Trenton Irwin, and I have Charlie Jones, which means that Kendrick Pryor, Trey Mosley, Kwame Lassiter, Shedrick Jackson are all and Cole Burgess are waived. But I don't think any of those would really be surprising to anybody. This is just one of those wide receiver rooms that's so good, so incredibly good, that just to crack the 53-man roster as a wide receiver on this team is just a hell of a statement in itself.
I agree. I do think they're going to make a big effort to keep Burgess on the practice squad.
Okay.
I think they really, really like him. I do too, as a developmental prospect. I think they're going to make an effort. I think we'll see his name around.
I can see it. All right. So how about running back? You want to do running back?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm running with 3 running backs. I could see them adding a 4th, at which point we'd have to do some shuffling around, because I do see a role here for a bruiser if you need 3 inches.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I have them running with 3: Zach Moss, Chase Brown, and Travion Williams.
Okay. So I have the same 3.
Noticeable absence, Chris Evans.
Yeah.
I think they finally cut him. They don't like him. They've never liked him. The fan base has always been in Chris Evans' corner, and the coaching staff or ownership has despised him. Don't know why. Maybe we're overrating him or they're underrating him, but either way, he gets cut. He might make it on the practice squad.
We've seen some flashes from Chris Evans in games. In fact, I'd say I'm not going to say that. Either way, we've seen some flashes from him in games. I mean, he could be a productive pass catcher out of the backfield. I'm not really sure what the issue is. I don't know if it's the play calling. I don't know if they just don't trust him. Whatever it is, the last few years he's basically just had a roster spot that could have been given to anybody else, and he's just not doing it. Like last year. I'd love to know how. I'm not going to look it up, but I'd love to know how many snaps he played, because I'd bet it's lower than 30.
It would have to be. I can't remember a single snap he played. So, at that point, you have to be 20, 30. I mean, almost nothing.
Right. So, yeah, I do agree. I do agree that it's just 3 running backs, unless they bring someone else in, and those 3 would be Moss, Brown, and Williams. So, what position you want to go? How about we go to tight end? How's that sound?
Yeah, tight end's interesting, because I think we end up with 4. And I don't think that 4 is going to be set in stone as the season goes on, because I think Eric All likely starts on PUP.
I totally agree. I think Eric All either starts on PUP or maybe starts on IR. Mike Gesicki, like you said, he's the 0.5 tight end. He's the tight end that kind of plays slot receiver. Drew Sample, they re-signed him. I do think Eric All starts the season on PUP. I think Tanner Hudson takes his spot, and then I think the 4th tight end spot goes to Tanner McLaughlin.
I agree. And Hudson being the most likely, in my opinion, to get bumped back to the practice squad if Eric All takes the spot.
I agree with that. So let's get up here to our 4. So I do agree that, let's say Eric All comes back halfway through the season and they really want to see what he's got. If they had to pick one of those 4 tight ends, knowing what we know now, I would say that Hudson would be the guy. I think Hudson was a really good breath of fresh air in a terrible wide receiver or a terrible tight end room last year.
Sure.
So while he was the best tight end in the building, that doesn't say much, right? Because of how bad that room was. So I think a lot of people give him a pass saying like, oh man, he should be a starter. I don't think that's true. I don't. I think that he's best being a rotational guy at tight end. So.
I agree. And even if they end up trusting him more than, let's say, McLaughlin, which I could see being in year 1, that being the case, he is too old to develop. He is not the kind of person they're going to run their franchise around, and he would be number 4 on any kind of a depth chart at that point, with Eric All coming back. That's the idea. At that point, they don't want somebody like Tanner Hudson. They want somebody like McLaughlin, somebody they can develop at tight end 4. So I think he's just, unfortunately, even if he played his ass off and he ended up being a little more dependable than McLaughlin year 1, I still don't think he has a spot on the team.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think that McLaughlin falling to them in the 6th round probably sealed that. Now, that's if everything works out like we hope it should. But my guess is that's how it works out. All right. So This takes us.
I'm making you take this one. The O line.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
O line was hard for me. It was hard for me because
so
I have some personal bias baked into this.
Yep.
But I think I ended up somewhere I'm happy with. But I'm going to make you read yours first.
Okay. I'll read mine. I have 9. I'll start with the starting 5 and then go from there. So the starting 5: left tackle Orlando Brown Jr., left guard Cordell Volson, center Ted Karras, right guard Alex Kappa, right tackle Trent Brown, and then Amarius Mims is your 6th offensive lineman. He's your swing tackle. And then my next 3 are Jackson Carman, Cody Ford, and Matt Lee.
Yep. Man, that's exactly what I have as well.
Yeah.
I tried really hard to get Jackson Carman off this team. I do not see it happening. I just think that the Bengals like his versatility. He could be bad at a lot of things, and they seem to really value that. And because of that, because he can play guard, because he can play tackle, I think he makes the team. Let's all just pray he never touches that field. But Jackson Carman is on the team, which sucks.
So I totally agree with you. And I think that the same conversation can be had about Jackson Carman and Cody Ford. Is the only reason they're on the roster is they have some tackle guard versatility. Yep. You know what I mean? And then I think really your only true backup center is Matt Lee.
Yes.
The issue with this, I'm pretty satisfied. Obviously, I love the starting offensive line. I think Mims can step in if there's an issue or an injury at either tackle position, and I think that he has the potential to step in and not really miss a beat. The issue for me is the depth at the interior offensive line here. I don't see a better grouping, and I obviously you didn't either because we came up with the same 9. I don't see a better grouping if there's an injury at either guard spot or center. I'm very nervous because your backup center is a 7th round rookie, and your backup guards are guys that we know we don't like very much. You know, Jackson Carman struggled, and like you said, they're happy with him because he's versatile, but he's just good enough to suck at either guard or tackle, right?
Yes.
So if there was one position that I want them to focus on in bringing in a veteran, it's the interior offensive line, whether it be center or guard or a guy that has experienced both. And then you can either afford to lose Jackson Carman or Cody Ford. But I think right now, as the roster stands, those are the 9 guys, and obviously
I do think that's where it ends up. I want them to bring in somebody experienced. If they do, Max Sharping is still available. I think it's going to be Max Sharping. If this ends up being 10, just because the experience and everything else, I'm not saying that's the best move. I do see it being the most Bengals move because they seem to be very okay with some of their choices at depth that maybe the fan base isn't. Just to point out, what we've both decided is that Trey Hill and Deontay Smith are no longer part of the 53, which I don't know. I'll call that progress. They were both bad.
I will. Yeah. And I think the big thing with, like, again, to reiterate this, the big thing with Deontay Smith is the reason I chose Jackson Carman over Smith is because Jackson Carman has the ability to play guard and tackle.
Yes.
I don't think Smith has ever played tackle before.
No.
And then, Hill is just a very subpar. If I had to guess, if there was a competition for backup center, Matt Lee would win that competition. That's just me. So
I agree. He is a better prospect in every possible way. They'd be foolish not to let him get at least some snaps on that field if they had the opportunity.
Totally agree. All right, so that brings us to 24. That's done with the offense, right? Which means that we're going to move on to the defense and then special teams. So let's just flip. And do you want to start with the defensive line, Kevin?
Let's do it.
All right.
So I have 10 here.
Yep.
Only one of them I'm iffy on, but we'll get to that. The obvious ones are BJ Hill, Sheldon Rankins, Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard. They're going to be your starting 4 in almost every scenario. And that's simple enough. We'll then add in the McKinley Jackson and Chris Jenkins. That brings you up to 6. Then Cam Sample and Osai are both important role players, Cam Sample especially. I do expect Miles Murphy to pop off a little bit this year. That brings you up to 9. And this is where it got a little difficult for me, but I think Jay Tufele is the guy. What about you?
Okay. All right. So mine are a lot different. I think this is the first time we've had some major differences.
How can yours be a lot different?
Okay, it's not a lot different. It's just a little different. Just a little, there's one difference. So I don't know why I said a lot.
I was about to say,
why I said a lot.
There's 9 of these are shoe-ins.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's one difference. All right. So I have Trey Hendrickson, Sheldon Rankins, BJ Hill, Sam Hubbard. I have Chris Jenkins, McKinley Jackson, Miles Murphy, Joseph Osai. I have Jay Tufele. And then I do have Cedric Johnson, the rookie. as the last defensive lineman.
Replacing who? Do you have 11 D linemen?
No, I have 10. I have 10. Who I'm trying to think of who you said that I didn't say.
Sheldon Rankins, you've got him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know who it was. It was Cam Sample.
Cam Sample played significant snaps for this team.
I know. I don't know why
He was
I did it. I just did it.
That's it. Okay. We have a major disagreement here. I cannot possibly. They should cut Osai before Sample.
Oh no. I don't.
Why?
Think so.
Because this is Osai's year.
No,
Cam Sample actually played significant snaps for this team.
I know,
but this once again is Osai's year, and that's not me being like critical. I actually do think there's a chance Osai pops off. But if you look at Osai or Cam Sample, neither one of which are starters, and you go, who's more likely to play a role in this team?
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, it's Cam Sample.
I don't know. I don't remember the thinking I had when I was looking at the draft, and I thought maybe Cedric Johnson, but had I been able to do it over again, I probably would have had Cam Sample.
So, okay, no, it's interesting though. Okay, at least it's not a 1-for-1 here.
No, and it wasn't that much different. Just like one guy, like you said.
Sure.
All right, so that takes us to linebacker. I think we have a difference here too. So for me, the first four are easy: Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, Akeem Davis Gaither, Joe Bocci. I did keep a fifth linebacker, and that linebacker for me is Devin Harper. And the reason I chose Devin Harper over someone else is just experience. He's a special teams guy. He has 3 years of experience. And that's really what that fifth linebacker position is a special teams player.
Completely agree. Okay. I have your four, of course, Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson, Bacci, and Gaither. And then I think Aaron Casey ends up being our fifth linebacker. We're talking multiple years special teams experience. Last year, he had 78 solo tackles, 100 total tackles, 20 tackles for a loss. His RAS is not great, but he is a instant starter on special teams, in my opinion. And he's exactly the type of player the Bengals are going to want to build up. His stats do not make sense for how he didn't look at the combine, but this guy is insanely productive on the field.
So and for those go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
No, just that. I think he ends up making the team. I think the upside is enough that they're looking for a special teamer, which they've got, and then they've got upside where Aaron Casey, I do think they're going to look at him and go like, we can harness this. This guy has the stats to back up being a starting level player, even if his instincts and his athleticism is lacking. This is the kind of guy I want as a backup on this team.
So just for those of you who don't know, Aaron Casey is a rookie undrafted free agent out of Indiana.
Yep.
He was considered to be a 7th round projection by Lance Zierlein. They say, he has stuffed stacked sheet, 20 tackles for loss, 78 solo tackles. He has physicality. He takes it to the beat with blockers, plays off the block. And then, like you said, you kind of said it all with the negative stuff, not the greatest athlete. The only reason I didn't go that way was the years of experience. But I think that either of us could make a case. You know what I'm saying? The experience to me matters. And obviously, I think Aaron Casey could break in. I think I could see it going either way. So that's linebacker. Let's see here. I don't know if I've been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So we're 39 now. We have the secondary and specialists. Do you want to go safety first or cornerback first?
Let's go cornerback. I'll go.
Okay.
This one's going to be weird because we still have Dax Hill, but now he's a cornerback, apparently.
Yeah.
We'll see. This is a Hail Mary move. We know it is. They have a first-round pick. They're trying to figure out where he fits, but he's a cornerback, and he's going to make the team. After that, it's DJ Turner, Cam Taylor-Britt, and Mike Hilton as your starting 3. I think DJ Ivey, it looks like he's been making progress on his injury. I expect him to make the team. Josh Newton, of course, ends up making the team. And then I have 7 total. So Jalen Davis slots back into his old spot. I do see them running with 7 because there's a lot of I could see normally they'd run with 6. I do believe that if they were more confident in this room, they would run with 6. But DJ Ivey's coming off an injury. Josh Newton's a rookie. Jalen Davis is Jalen Davis. Dax Hill is not a cornerback. I just don't think they look at this room and are confident enough in any of their backups to keep only 6. They're going to keep 7 and hope 1 hits.
So I totally agree with you. I kept 7 as well, just because there's some inexperience and there's really no CB4 down in stone right now.
Right.
I have Cam Taylor-Britt, Mike Hilton, DJ Turner, Jalen Davis, Dax Hill, Josh Newton, DJ Ivy. So, I mean, until someone steps up, like you said, until someone steps up and they feel comfortable with with their cornerback for whoever that ends up being, whether it's DJ Ivy or maybe Dax Hill, I don't know. Either way, they're going to end up with an extra body or two back there just to move things around if things don't go the way they want them to.
Exactly.
I don't know. I think we're pretty on board with that one too. So let's go to safety, and I'll do this one. I have 4 safeties. I have Geno Stone, Von Bell, Jordan Battle, and then my last safety, I have Tyson Anderson making the team over Dejon Anthony, the rookie. Just Tyson Anderson really had a lot of flashes in preseason, man, and I want something to go right for him. You know what I mean? It just hasn't worked out well. He showed some flashes. I'm hoping he stays healthy and does it again and makes the team. What do you think?
I feel all the same feelings you have about Tyson Anderson.
Okay.
Really liked him as a prospect, really thought he was going to amount to something, and he just hasn't.
Yeah.
I think that Anthony is a 5th round prospect that the Bengals took in the 7th. I think that he has a lot of upside, and I think that they had no intention whatsoever of grabbing even a single safety in this draft, but they liked him enough that when he fell, they couldn't help it. I think he ultimately makes the team over Anderson.
Okay. I mean, I can see it going either way. So, either way, I mean, I think you could be happy for Anderson, obviously, if he made the team. You know, I hope he lands on his feet. Yeah. Now, do you see a situation where you could see 5 safeties?
I could, and it would be Anderson, Anthony. Yes, I could absolutely see that, especially if Ivy isn't 100% ready to start. With his injury, I think he will be, but there's absolutely a chance he is not ready week 1. If that's the case, I could see him becoming basically taking DJ Ivy's spot, and then once Ivy was ready to come back, may the best man win. Anderson or Anthony, one of them is off the team, off the 53.
Off the 53, right. All right, and then that leaves us with our specialists. So we have 3 left, and I think Evan McPherson, Cal Automatis, there's no reason to even talk about him.
Nope.
The only one to talk about is punter because they have Brad Robbins, who they drafted last year, and then they have Austin McNamara, who is a undrafted free agent brought in from Texas Tech. He's the 3rd highest rated punter in this year's draft class, and it's going to be a competition. Brad Robbins struggled last year. They brought him in to replace help me out here. Somebody.
I got nothing for you.
Yeah, they brought him to replace somebody. I can't remember the name. The Ohio State kicker. That's going to drive me. I'm going to think of it as soon as the show's over. I know it. Either way, came in. He struggled a little bit. I think a lot of Brad Robbins, heading into the draft, a lot of his thing was high hang time. Yes, thank you, Drew Chrisman. A lot of his thing was high hang time, stuff like that. And then it didn't help us this year because the offense struggled. Joe Burrow was out. Austin McNamara apparently has some sort of nuclear-powered leg.
Yes, but also has good hang time.
Yes, he does have good hang time as well. So, I mean, I'm personally, I don't know. I could see it 6 one way, half dozen the other. I'm going to say flip a coin. I'll take Austin McNamara. What do you think?
I'm not flipping a coin, but I'm also taking Austin McNamara.
Okay.
I just think he's going to win. I think that if Robbins and McNamara were in the same class, same draft class, McNamara would have gone over him, period. I think he's a bigger talent. This draft went away in which he didn't get selected, but I think he was a better talent than Robbins in almost every way. And I think that the Bengals are going to end up just re-rolling those dice. They did not have to spend a draft pick, and they never would have, I don't think, on replacing Brad Robbins. But since they didn't have to, they're going to consider this a freebie, and Austin McNamara is going to make the team.
Okay. I have 3 questions for you.
Okay.
All right. Number 1, what is the greatest position of strength on this team? And you cannot say quarterback.
Okay, wide receiver. We have the best wide receiver.
100%.
Literally, we have the best wide receiver core in the NFL right now.
I agree with that. So outside wide receiver and quarterback.
I
got a hot take.
What's your hot take?
Is it offensive line?
Yeah, you were going to say offensive line, weren't you?
Is it? Is it?
I don't hate your argument. Here's what I'm going to say. Is the offensive line a top 10 offensive line day one? No.
No.
Is it a top 10 offensive line by week 8, 9, 10? Little experience, little reps? Maybe. Is it
Possibly,
a
yeah.
top 10 offensive line next year? 100%.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I think we're going to add in who we need to add into, but I think Matt Lee and Amarius Mims are going to step in, and then we end up with Orlando Brown on the other side. That is your starting 3, where we can now build around it, as opposed to having to constantly shore up weaknesses. But I don't hate the take. Just overall this year, I don't hate the take.
Yeah.
The O-line has been a source of
frustration for a long time.
Yeah, and they've clearly I feel like they're frustrated too, because it's not like they're not putting in the effort. You know what I mean? They're putting in the signing. They're trying here.
Yeah.
They're just
doing
not getting there.
Right. It's just not the puzzle pieces haven't fallen into place yet. They haven't. Now,
and eventually they got to. At least, God, I hope so.
Well, what I like so much about this year, though, is while losing an offensive tackle would derail almost every team, we have some redundancy there now with Amarius Mims. So there's some protection. There's some fail-safe in there. And then there's also the insurance that if Trent Brown comes in and just is terrible, which I don't expect to happen, but if it does happen, you're not sunk. You have another left. You have another offensive tackle.
And Trent Brown play both sides, so
absolutely, yeah. So the next question is, what is the weakest position on the team?
I don't want to answer this question because people are going to. Okay, the weakest on this team is tight end. Week 1, but it is a developmental crew, and I expect it to be a strength relatively quickly. Mike Gesicki is who he is, but he's a wide receiver first. He cannot play the role of a true tight end 1. And then you have Drew Sample, who also can barely catch, as far as we understand it. Eric All will not start. Tanner McLaughlin is a rookie, and Tanner Hudson is
there.
Backup's backup.
Right.
It is what it is, but I expect that to change. What I don't expect to overly change is, I would say, cornerback is maybe our weakest unit.
Okay.
And I hate that. The depth is pretty disappointing, and I'm not certain what DJ Turner is going to be this year. Is he going to be for 6 weeks DJ Turner, or is he going to be last 6 weeks DJ Turner?
So that gave me something to think about. I was not considering tight end. I was going to say cornerback is the weakest position because of the depth and because of the unknown about DJ Turner and because of the CB4 and then Dax Hill, who is just a corner now.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say tight end. I understand why you said it, though. I get it. I mean, you're bringing in Mike Gesicki. The reality of it is without Eric All up to speed, you don't really have a true tight end 1. You have a slot receiver who plays tight end. You have an H-back in Drew Sample, and then you have Hudson, who's probably tight end 2 or tight end 3, right? 100%. So I understand what you're saying. The next question is going to be the only reason that I'm going to stick with cornerback, and the next question is, what is the most improved position? And I'm going to say it's tight end because last year's so bad.
Okay, tight end is the most improved position. Not because we're suddenly knocking it out of the park, but it was it was a train wreck. It was a dumpster fire.
Right. It was really bad. Yeah.
That alone makes it the most improved. If we're not looking at it that way, I would say you could make a really strong case for safety.
Okay. Yeah. I can see that.
I think safety, you could make a very strong case. Geno Stone being a massive swing from Nick Scott, bringing Von Bell back for the leadership. I expect Jordan Battle to take a massive step. I could see safety being a really strong component for most improved as well.
I think it's going to be it's not happening next week, but later on in the summer when we do here's our depth chart show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Safety is going to be an interesting conversation to have between Von Bell and Jordan Battle, because I think Jordan Battle earned to throw his hat in the ring. Just because you brought Von Bell back doesn't mean he needs to start. Jordan Battle was excellent last year. Excellent.
I don't think Von Bell. Here's my hot take.
Okay.
From day one, Jordan Battle sees the field way more than Von Bell ever does, and it never changes.
We'll see what happens. I think it'll be interesting when we have that conversation. All right. Do you got anything else, man?
No, I do not.
Okay. Well, once again, we are on the Orange and Black Insider on YouTube. We are on Believe in Cincy update your RSS feeds. It's Anthony and John over at OBI. It's Matt and Willie on Matt and Willie No Ball. It's Bengal Jim and Friends, talking football with Bengal Jim and Friends. It's great Bengals content every day. Check it out. Subscribe, like, update your RSS feeds. And we'll see you next week. Who day?
Who day?